Welcome to Safety First Amendment Second YouTube channel. I just want to share a few thoughts for those considering buying their first handgun. I think we're in a golden age of handgun options with a lot of great, reliable manufacturers out there to choose from. If you're watching this video, you're clearly doing your research. I would tell you right off the bat, don't listen to just me. Do your research, take in information from different sources, and make decisions based on what works best for you. I'm going to cover 9 things or points to consider when buying your first handgun. And please stick around to the end, as I have a couple points I don't hear regarding this subject very often. First, if you're spending $300 or $400 or more buying your first handgun, for whatever reason, buy something you'll shoot. You should enjoy shooting the firearm you purchase. If you don't enjoy shooting the firearm, then it will sit in the safe, closet, under the bed, or wherever. Realize the cost of the firearm is not the end. I would loosely compare firearm ownership to having a dog. Just like a dog needs fed and walked, a firearm should be shot. You should plan on ongoing expenses for training, education, and ammo. Number 2, have a plan for safe storage and factor that into your budget. If you have small children in the house or any children in the house and or a spouse that is not familiar with firearms, consider safety training for kids and other members. You can always get a vault for safe storage, which would have some type of a combination on it, and key lock. There are several different brands out there similar to this. An additional option would be a smaller metal type lockbox. These come in definitely different sizes and have a cable lock if you need to secure it to a metal post in an automobile or vehicle or whatever. I would say I would not recommend long-time storage in a vehicle, but if you need temporary storage in a vehicle for whatever reason, this works as well as for that vehicle or the home. The next point is revolver or automatic. So when you look at a revolver is very simple. It's traditionally reliable. They tend to be larger than an automatic, but it also has lower capacity. Typically, a revolver will have 6 to 7 round capacity. This particular revolver is a little bit smaller in the revolver category, so it has a capacity of 5. The other thing with a revolver, it could maybe a little bit more difficult to mount a red dot on it, so that could be a factor in buying a revolver or not. For an automatic is going to have a moving slide, typically smaller than a revolver with more capacity, typically 7 rounds for the smallest auto, up to 18 or more for a full size. This particular micro compact, small automatic with this magazine has a capacity of 8 plus 1 in the chamber. This also has a magazine option to have 7 plus 1 in the chamber as well. Point number 4, full size, compact, or subcompact. These can be more of a marketing category than the true overall size of a handgun. I like to think more along the lines of barrel length categories. Around 3 inches or below is a micro compact. Around 4 inches is typically a compact, considered a compact firearm. And then 4 inches or more, I tend to consider more of a full-size firearm. However, there's also different grip sizes or variations as well in this area. Basically, larger, heavier guns tend to be easier to handle with lesser felt recoil, and smaller, lighter guns tend to be snappier. In other words, you get more violent movement in the hand when it fires. Caliber is also a factor in recoil. Smaller in general equals less recoil, and larger handgun, more recoil. For a new shooter, recoil can be the difference if you enjoy shooting the gun or not. Again, you're dropping a few $100s or more on a group of combined metal and plastic parts. Buy something you will shoot versus something that will sit in a box in the top of a closet or just used as an expensive paperweight. First, for a handgun, I would probably say stick with 9mm or even a .22 long rifle caliber. Both calibers are easy to find and relatively cheaper than other calibers out there, and both are lower on the felt recoil spectrum, especially a .22 long rifle. Next, manual safety or not. Bottom line is, with any firearm, your finger is your safety. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Buy with a manual safety if you feel more comfortable with one. Whether you buy a handgun with a safety or not, you should train with it in order to get used to manipulating that safety or not if one does not exist. Optic ready or not. An optic ready handgun will have a cut at the rear of the slide, typically with a cover plate. You can remove the cover plate and mount a red dot like on this particular firearm. Most times this requires an adapter plate, which you can kind of see on this particular firearm. A non-optic ready firearm, a non-optic ready firearm will come with a solid slide, similar to this one. So there's no cut in the slide to mount an optic. I would recommend buying an optic ready model for your first gun. One, if you ever want to add a dot, you can, without increased cost, to have the slide cut for a dot or to buy an entirely new slide. And two, if you ever want to sell or trade that firearm to upgrade, it will be worth a little more than a non-optic ready handgun. Point number 7, buy the firearm that fits your hand best and points the most naturally for you. Ideally, you should visit a range and try out a variety of handguns to see which one you naturally point the best and are comfortable shooting. Again, if you don't like shooting the handgun you buy, you won't. Finally, my last couple points. So finally, point number 8, I want to hit a little bit on the gun shop visit. Do some research before going to the gun store. You do not have to know everything, but it helps to have some knowledge going in. If you have a friend or a connection to someone who already owns and has experience with firearms, take them with you. Even take a friend you trust who knows nothing about firearms but knows you. They can be a check for you, as there can be a whole lot of options at a gun store, and it can be easy to lose focus. Now for my final point, let's talk about bias and a couple other factors. Everyone has a bias. Your friend who owns guns has a bias. The gun store salesperson has a bias. The gun store owner has a bias. And I have a bias. We all have biases on what handgun we think a new handgun owner should buy first. What is best for us may not be the best for you. Use the advice others give you. Take that information and buy the firearm that is best for you. Also realize that gun stores may have inventory they are trying to move or firearms that have a higher profit margin than others. They may be trying to sell a specific firearm that are more about their agenda than yours. For example, there's a lot of controversy right now over the Sig Sauer P320 model specifically, and it's firing without a finger on the trigger. This is not an issue with other Sig Sauer firearms. If a gun shop is pushing the Sig P320 to someone they perceive as inexperienced or doesn't know shooting or guns, it may be because they're having trouble selling them and are trying to move them out of their inventory. So just keep that in mind as well. If you ever get a bad vibe on a gun store visit, you can always walk out. There are plenty of other gun stores that would be happy to sell you a firearm. I'm in an urban area, so there's a lot of options I have. If you're in a more rural area and have less gun store options, you can typically buy within your state, and that kind of opens up your different options. Additionally, even if you find the perfect handgun, you can always walk out of the gun shop, do more research, confirm your choice, and then come back in to pick it up. There may not necessarily be a rush to buy that firearm. Always do the research. Again, you're spending a few $100s on a firearm. Make sure it's the right one for you. Again, you don't want to get it and have it sit in the closet and you never shoot it, and it's a waste of money. So get something you will shoot. Finally, this is not a comprehensive video on buying your first handgun. Please comment below with anything I missed or advice you would give to a first-time handgun buyer. This is Safety First, Amendment Second YouTube channel. Happy shooting, take care, and stay safe.